Hello and welcome to Lost Love Chronicles.
Dear listeners, before we get started, drop a quick hi in the comments and let us know where you're tuning in from. Also, if you have any suggestions for us to make the channel better, please let us know. Now let's start with the story. I'm a 26-year-old guy, and I seriously need to get this off my chest because it's been living rent-free in my head for way too long. Honestly, it's the only thing that hasn't been paying rent in this whole mess of a story, go figure. This whole trash fire kicked off about 2 years ago, when I was 24. Life was finally looking up for me. After grinding through college, drowning in ramen and student loans, I had finally landed my first solid job as a junior architect. It wasn't flashy, but it paid decent, and for the first time in forever, I wasn't stressing about overdraft fees or counting change at the gas pump. I was building a little savings cushion, starting to breathe easier, finally not feeling broke all the time. Then one night, my phone buzzed. It was my dad. His name lighting up on the screen gave me a weird feeling. He never calls late unless something's wrong. I picked up, and right away I could hear it in his voice. He sounded drained, like someone had just kicked his soul. "Hey, got to talk to you about something," he said, all serious and low like he was about to deliver some tragic news. My stomach sank. "Okay," I said, straightening up. "What's going on? Everything all right?" I legit thought somebody had died or something. I remember thinking, bracing myself for the worst. But no, turns out, it wasn't a death. It was my little sister. She was 21 at the time, still in college, and of course, the golden child since forever. Whatever she wanted, she got. And me? I was just the backup character in the family sitcom background noise unless they needed something. So apparently, she wanted to move into some bougie apartment complex near her school. And of course, it was way too expensive for someone working part-time at a trendy clothing store. But that didn't stop our genius dad. He had already promised her he'd cover it. "I told her I'd handle the rent," he said, voice all quiet and guilty. "But between you and me, business is giving very much recession vibes right now." Construction work had always been his thing, but the last couple years it had been flopping hard. I could hear the strain in his voice, like he hated admitting it. "I can't let her down," he continued, "but I just can't afford it right now. Could you maybe cover it for a while? I'll pay you back when things get better." I stayed silent for a beat, not sure I'd heard him right. "Wait, you want me to pay her rent?" "Well, not exactly," he hesitated. "I don't want her to know it's not coming from me. I want to give you the money, and then you just pass it along." I cut him off. "You mean, you want me to give you the money so you can pretend you're paying it?" He sighed. "She looks up to me, you know? I don't want her to see me struggling. You know how she gets." Yeah, I knew. Princess would throw a whole tantrum if the world didn't bend over backwards for her. Heaven forbid the golden child actually face any form of reality. And like the total clown I was, I fell for it. I felt bad for the old man. His business was tanking. And yeah, family helps family, right? Or at least that's the trauma-based garbage I've been fed my whole life. "How much?" I asked, already feeling the knot tightening in my stomach. "Just $780 a month," he said, like it was nothing. "Only until I get back on my feet." That was basically half my rent at the time. I was living in a crappy apartment with a roommate, trying to be smart about money. You know, split rent, cook at home, unironically eating ramen for dinner 3 nights a week just to stretch my paycheck. Meanwhile, Miss Girly Pop, my precious little sister, gets to live in a solo luxury apartment I'm secretly bankrolling. The math? Yeah, it wasn't mathing, but I still agreed. I told Dad I'd send the money to him every month, and he'd forward it to her so she'd think it was coming from him. That way, Dad saves face, golden child stays golden, and I, lucky me, get to be the family's secret ATM. Love that for me. Bestie behavior, right? Fast forward 6 months. I finally had a weekend off and decided to visit my sister at her luxury apartment. You know, the one I was paying for in silence. I figured maybe I could at least see where my hard-earned cash was going. I knocked, she let me in, and guess who was just chilling there on the couch, sipping on some fancy juice that my money basically bought? My ex. Yep, the same ex who cheated on me with my former best friend just last year. And she looked real comfortable, too, like she was a regular. Hair done, nails glossy, and that smug little smile like she owned the place. Oh, and she drives a Tesla Model 3. Her parents bought it for her when she graduated. Rich girl vibes? Fully activated. And my sister? She was eating it up. "Oh yeah, we're like besties for real now," my sister said, like it was the most normal thing in the world. "She's over here all the time. Her Tesla is so fire. I'm literally obsessed with it. It's giving main character energy." Main character energy. From the girl who blew up my heart, like it was a side quest. I bit my tongue so hard, I half expected it to leap out of my mouth on its own. Here I am, counting coins for gas, eating ramen so I can keep my sister living like a Kardashian, and she's hosting the girl who broke me. fawning over her electric car like it was the second coming of Christ. But I didn't say anything. Just sat there taking loss after loss in silence. Because I made a promise to Dad. Because family comes first. Or whatever twisted trauma response that is. And let me tell you, it only got worse from there. Golden Child started calling me with updates like she was living in a music video. Flexing about the new furniture she copped, the rare sneakers she snagged, the weekend trips she was planning. I'm thinking about flying out to Palm Springs next month, she'd say, voice dripping with excitement. Oh my God, and I just got this insane deal on a mirror from Anthropology. It was, like, for $100 but totally worth it. Makes the space look so luxe. Meanwhile, I was budgeting down to the literal cent. I was the one silently covering this main character lifestyle, and she had no idea. She thought she was living off of Dad's generosity, and I was just there, starving in the shadows. Then came the boyfriend. A wannabe influencer with a man bun and a ring light, who loved to sit around her apartment which I was paying for and film cringy motivational videos about grinding, boss mentality, and manifesting success. This man, he didn't even have a job. Just vibes and his parents' money. And the arrogance to act like anyone working a real job was a peasant. Dad's so generous, my sister would gush. He even gave me extra this month for that new TV. He's such a vibe. Yeah, that extra? That was me skipping lunch for a week. That was me canceling all my subscriptions, Netflix, Spotify, everything. No more Netflix. And actually, no chill either. The worst part? My sister started treating me like I was some NPC in her story. Background character. Filler. The guy who exists just to say good morning before she goes off to live her main character life. She'd make these constant passive-aggressive comments, little digs masked as jokes. Your apartment is so cozy, she once said, glancing around like she'd just walked into a utility closet. Honestly, it's giving starter pack energy. Another time she got into my car and looked around like she'd stepped onto another planet. Why don't you ever, upgrade, she asked, wrinkling her nose. You have an architecture job. It's like you choose to be boring. She actually said to me once word for word, I don't get why you're giving such broke boy energy when you have that architecture job. It's like you don't even know how to live your best life. I just stared at her. I wanted to say, maybe because my money's literally funding your best life. But instead, I kept quiet. Again. And Dad, don't even get me started. She's just more social than you. He'd say, like that explained everything. She needs these things for her image. You know how appearances matter for girls. Excuses on excuses. Somehow my sister needed luxury to function, and I was just supposed to accept that I deserved to fund it all. Like it was my fate or something. I came so close to spilling the tea that night. I remember sitting there, clenching my jaw so hard I thought a molar might crack. The words were on the tip of my tongue. You know Dad's not paying for anything, right? It's all me. Every cent. That new couch you're flexing? That's my skipped lunches. That weekend trip? That's my canceled date nights and overdraft fees. But then I remembered Dad's face, how defeated he looked when he first asked me for help. That quiet shame in his voice. And I swallowed my pride again. Pushed it all down. Buried it under another layer of guilt and silence. Honestly, I was the biggest doormat. For 2 years. 2 years of me transferring money to Dad every month. 2 years of him pretending it was from him. 2 years of my sister living her baddie dream life while treating me like I was the family peasant. A walking debit card with no personality. And it wasn't just the apartment anymore. My sister would not shut up about wanting a Tesla like my ex's. Dad, she whined one day, phone on speaker while I sat next to him. When I graduate, can I get a Tesla? Sarah's is so busting. I literally can't even with these basic cars anymore. I looked at Dad, waiting, hoping for him to say something rational. Something like, we're not Elon Musk, calm down. But instead, he just said, we'll see, princess. We'll see? Not no. Not we can't afford that. Just we'll see. As if he wasn't already living off my paycheck. Meanwhile, I was out here driving a 2010 Honda that sounded like a dying animal whenever it rained. It was giving major struggle bus vibes, complete with mystery clunks and a weird rattle that I just ignored. Why? Because every extra dollar I had was going to her apartment. I couldn't even afford to fix my cracked phone screen. It had been shattered for months. People would ask, what happened to your phone? And I'd just shrug, like it didn't bother me, like I hadn't priced out repairs 6 times and walked away each time because the money wasn't there. And there she was, posting apartment tours on TikTok. Her voice in the videos, all chipper. Hey besties. Here's a tour of my aesthetic apartment. Look at the mirror, Anthropology. And the rug? It's vintage. Don't mind the LED lights everywhere. One time my sister invited me over for dinner at her place, the apartment I'd been secretly paying for month after month, like some invisible landlord. I figured maybe this time things might feel normal, that I could at least enjoy a meal without the usual undercurrents. I show up, and guess who's there? My ex. Yup. Again, making herself at home like she paid rent, sitting pretty in a chair that I might as well have built. The two of them spent the entire evening locked in a full-on circle jerk about my ex's Tesla. It's giving eco-friendly and luxury. My sister gushed, sipping some overpriced sparkling water. Oh my god, right? My ex chimed in. And the auto drive? Life-changing. Like, it just feels premium, you know? I sat there, chewing on some roasted whatever, knowing damn well I was the one paying for the groceries they were shoveling into their mouths. Every bite they took, bought with my overtime hours and skipped meals. Then my sister turns to me with a smirk and goes, I just can't believe you drive that old Honda when you could have something so much better. It's not giving successful architect energy at all. And before I could even process the sheer audacity of that, my ex jumps in. Maybe you need to work harder, she said, dead serious. Or get a better job. No shade, but like, priorities. I actually blinked. Hard. Like maybe I'd accidentally stepped into some simulation and the glitch was happening in real time. The irony of her whose parents bought her that car saying that to me while sitting in an apartment I secretly paid for. They were both just taking shots at me all night, tag-teaming the roast. Completely unaware, I was the financial foundation holding up this little hangout. Miss Girl and her bestie, roasting me alive in a place I funded, eating food I indirectly bought. It was like I'd become the punchline of my own story. The golden child treatment? So obvious, it was practically printed on the walls. My parents were always preaching at me. Work harder, save more, be responsible. But my sister? She got everything handed to her with zero expectations and double the praise. The math never made sense, but they kept doing it like it was gospel. And still I said nothing. Because Dad made me promise. Because I was too much of a coward to break the illusion, to finally call it out for what it was. I kept telling myself it was temporary. Dad would bounce back, right? His business would pick up, and he'd start making the payments himself. Then maybe I could finally save for my own place, or upgrade from the car that sounded like it wanted to live itself every time it hit a speed bump. But every time I asked Dad when he might be able to take over the payments, it was always something. Business is slow right now. I had some unexpected expenses. I'm just waiting on this big client to pay me. Once that clears, we'll be back on track. Always a reason. Always a delay. Always a convenient excuse. Funny how there was never enough money to ease my burden. But when Golden Child needed something, magically, the funds appeared. It was like that growing up, too. Sis wanted dance lessons? Boom, paid for. I asked to play sports? Too expensive. Sis needed a new laptop for school? Of course, honey. I needed art supplies for my architecture portfolio. Can't you just use what you have? The favoritism wasn't subtle. It was so loud and in your face, it could have had its own damn zip code. And then came the night when everything finally went nuclear. Mom's birthday dinner. Picture this. Dad, looking stressed as usual. Me, exhausted from working overtime to fund both my life and my sister's hidden luxury. And my sister? Fresh from getting her nails done, glossy, almond-shaped perfection that I guarantee somehow came out of my pocket. We're all sitting around the dining table at my parents' place, this old scratched-up wooden thing that's been around since I was a kid. The vibe? Tense. The kind of forced normal that makes your skin itch. Mom's doing her usual routine, serving food, topping off water glasses like some underpaid waitress at a diner. She doesn't say much. Never has when the drama starts to creep in. It's her signature move. Check out emotionally and pretend everything is peachy. Very this is find dog in a burning house meme energy. So we're eating, doing the usual meaningless small talk, weather, work, traffic, when my sister drops the bomb. I've decided I'm getting a Tesla Model 3, she says casually, twirling her pasta like she's doing a TikTok mukbang. The white one, she adds, not even looking up, with black interior. It's literally so aesthetic. Dad nearly choked on his water. I watched him freeze mid-sip, eyes wide, like someone just whispered IRS audit in his ear. The panic? Immediate. That's quite a car, sweetheart, he stammered. I know, she squealed. Like actually squealed. But I deserve it. My fashion Insta is really taking off, and I need something that matches my vibe. Her fashion Insta had, 326 followers. 0 sponsorships? But sure, let's go ahead and pretend she's the next influencer icon. Main character syndrome in full effect. Dad gave me that look across the table. The one that says I need you to bail me out again. Like we're communicating through telepathy at this point. I already knew what was coming before he even opened his mouth. After dinner, just like clockwork, he pulled me aside into the kitchen. Same move every time. She's got her heart set on this car, he whispered, eyes darting toward the hallway like she might overhear. I told her I'd help with the down payment, but you want me to pay for it? I cut in before he could finish and let her think it's from you again. He had the audacity to look ashamed, like he knew how ridiculous it was, but hoped guilt would still work on me. Just the down payment, he muttered. That's all. About $7,500. She can handle the monthly payments herself. I actually laughed. Loud. Sharp. No attempt to soften it. With what money? I asked, my voice full of disbelief. Her part-time boutique job? Her Insta with 300 followers. I stared at him. Or wait, let me guess. You're going to help with the monthly payments too, which really means I'll be helping. Again. He didn't even deny it. Just looked down at the counter like it might open up and swallow him whole. That was all the confirmation I needed. No, I said firmly. I've been paying her rent for 2 years. I'm done being the secret sponsor of her lifestyle. His face changed instantly. The shame? Gone. Just vanished, like it was never there. Replaced by that stern, cold look I've known since I was a kid. The one he'd flash when I dared to question anything. She's your sister, he snapped. Family helps family. Then you help her. I fired back, louder than I meant to. I'm not buying her a Tesla while she treats me like garbage and hangs out with my ex in the apartment I pay for. His eyes widened, panic creeping in. Keep your voice down. She'll hear you. Maybe she should hear me. I hissed. Maybe she should know that her precious daddy hasn't been paying her rent. I have. That's when he grabbed my arm tight. Like really tight. His fingers digging into my skin like he thought that would shut me up. You promised, he growled. You gave me your word you wouldn't tell her. I yanked my arm back. That was before you asked me to buy her a Tesla. A $45,000 car? Are you serious right now? We walked back to the table. The air was thick tense, like something was about to explode. Dad's face was red. Red. And I was still boiling, trying to hold it together. My sister? Totally oblivious. She was showing Mom pictures of the Tesla on her phone, grinning ear to ear. It's only $54,000, she was saying. And Dad's helping with the down payment. Dad cleared his throat, voice shaky. Actually, sweetheart, I was thinking maybe your brother could help you out with this. My sister looked up, confused. Then she laughed. Like actually laughed. That condescending, high-pitched, oh please kind of laugh. Him, she scoffed. He's too broke to even fix his janky Honda. He probably doesn't even have a savings account. And that was it. Something snapped in me. I live in a broke apartment. I said, calm, deadly calm, because I've been paying your rent for 2 years. Silence. Mom froze, literally fork halfway to her mouth. No one moved. What? My sister asked, like she didn't catch it the first time. Your rent, I repeated. The money you think comes from Dad? It's from me. Every month for 2 years I've transferred $780 to him, and he's pretended it's his. Her expression shifted like a slow-motion car, crash confusion to disbelief to pure, blinding anger. But not at Dad. No. She turned it on me. That's not true, she yelled. Dad wouldn't do that. Tell him it's not true. Dad couldn't even look at her. Princess, he mumbled. I was going to pay him back. Her eyes filled with tears. Voice cracking, she looked straight at me. So you've been paying my rent this whole time. Why didn't you say anything? She demanded, voice trembling, tears already in her eyes. Because Dad begged me not to. I said, looking her straight in the eye. Because he wanted to save face. Because you'd be disappointed in him, but not me. Since you already think I'm just a broke boy. I never said that. She snapped, almost too quickly. You didn't have to. I shot back. It's in every eye roll. Every comment about my sad apartment. Every time you've looked down on me while living off my money. Mom just sat there, silent, eyes glued to her plate like it was the most interesting thing in the world. Not defending me. Not calming Dad down. Not even reacting. Just checked out, the way she always was when things got messy. Like she wasn't even in the room. No, I said, turning from her to all of them. I'm done being quiet. I'm done being the family ATM. And I'm especially done watching my sister host my cheating ex in an apartment I pay for while they both simper over a Tesla I definitely won't be buying. My sister's face flushed even deeper, turning a blotchy red. Your relationship with Sarah has nothing to do with my friendship. It has everything to do with respect. I fired back. Something you clearly know nothing about. Dad stood up then, face full of rage, pointing at the door. That's enough. You're being cruel to your sister. I laughed. Again. Couldn't help it. I'm the one being cruel. I said. Me? The one who's been paying her rent for 2 years and finally told the truth? Sure, Dad. Sure. You promised you wouldn't tell her, he barked, voice rising. You gave me your word. And you promised you'd pay me back, I said coldly. Guess we're both liars. My sister was crying now. But not sad tears, angry ones. I can't believe you've been holding this over my head all this time, she snapped, voice cracking. I haven't held anything over your head, I said. Because you didn't even know, you entitled princess. But now you do. And now I'm done. Find another sucker to fund your Tesla dreams. I grabbed my jacket, my hands shaking, but my voice steady. I turned toward the door. Dad followed me, close behind. His voice dropped low, threatening. If you walk out that door, don't bother coming back. Ever. I stopped, turned around, met his eyes. That's fine by me, I said calmly. By the way, I'll be stopping the rent payments. You've got 2 weeks to figure something out. And I left, walked out of that house and straight into a storm I never saw coming. The next few weeks were absolute chaos. My phone blew up. Texts, calls, notifications nonstop, like some kind of emotional fireworks display. My sister went from full-on rage mode to desperate begging in, like 3 days flat. First it was, how could you do this to me? And you ruined everything. And then suddenly I was getting, please just talk to me. And we can work this out. Dad. He was ping-ponging between barking threats and laying on the guilt so thick I could practically feel it oozing through the screen. You disrespected this family. 1 minute. Then, you broke your father's heart. The next. Mom sent me a single text. Just one. Please call your father. No context. No follow-up. Just that. Like I know what the hell that even meant. Classic mom's silent, passive, emotionally absent when it actually counted. I blocked them all after the first day. I needed some freaking peace. Just silence. Just space to breathe. But that peace didn't last long. 3 days later, I got a weird call from my bank. The rep sounded polite but tense, like they didn't want to alarm me, but also kind of did. Hi, Mr. Taylor, we're just reaching out due to some unusual activity on your account. Unusual how? I asked, already feeling my stomach twist. Well, there was an attempt to access your online banking from a new device. We just wanted to verify if that was you. It wasn't me. I hadn't logged in from any new device. They wouldn't tell me exactly who it was. Privacy policies, or whatever. But come on, we all know who it was. Who else would be playing detective with my bank info? I hung up and immediately went DEFCON 1. Changed all my passwords, set up 2-factor authentication, locked everything down like Fort Knox. I even put alerts on every account. I wasn't taking any chances with these people anymore. I figured that would be the end of it. Crisis contained. But nope. A few days later, I got home from work, exhausted and running on fumes, and saw a tow truck outside my apartment building. Just sitting there, backing up toward my parking space like a slow-motion horror scene. I blinked. Then I saw it, the driver climbing out, clipboard in hand, walking toward my car. My 2010 Honda. The one my sister loved to roast me about. I ran up, waving my arms. Yo, what the heck are you doing with my car? The guy barely looked up. Repossession order. You behind on payments, bro. Behind what? No. This car is paid off. I own it. I've had the title for, 3 years. He shrugged, handed me the paperwork. Not what it says here. I yanked out my phone and called the bank listed on the form. I was probably yelling, definitely sounding unhinged, but I didn't care. This has to be some mistake, I snapped. I own that car. It's mine. There's no loan, no lien, nothing. The rep on the other end was annoyingly calm. Sir, according to our records, a title loan was taken out on that vehicle 3 months ago. $7,200. I felt my blood freeze. That's literally impossible, I said. I never signed anything. I still have the title. We have documentation on file with a signature, the rep replied. Email it to me, I said. When I opened the PDF, I felt like I was watching some true crime episode, except I was the victim. There it was. A loan agreement. With my name. My signature. Only it wasn't mine. My father. He must have copied it. Maybe from some old lease, a birthday card, something. He'd forged it. Gotten a copy of my title somehow. Used it without ever telling me. My own father had taken out a loan using my car as collateral without my knowledge. This wasn't just family drama anymore. This was a whole different level of messed up. I was prepared for the guilt trips. I expected the angry texts, the calls, the "how could you do this" to your family monologues. I even braced myself for mom's passive-aggressive emoji-filled messages. But identity theft from my own dad? Yeah, that was not on my 2023 bingo card. Once I calmed down enough to think clearly, I managed to stall the repo temporarily by proving I was the actual legal owner of the car. But that only bought me time. I had 3 horrible options. First, pay off a $7,200 loan I never signed for. Second, try to prove my dad forged my signature and maybe send him to jail. Third, lose my only means of transportation. There was no win here. Just a pick your poison situation. I spent the next few days in a complete daze. Brain fog so thick I could barely focus at work. I toggled between feeling utterly betrayed, deeply violated, and straight-up rage. My own father had been planning this. Plotting behind my back to use my car, my property, something I worked hard for, as collateral for his own financial dumpster fire. And the most twisted part? While doing all this shady crap, he still had the audacity to ask me to help buy his precious golden child a Tesla. A freaking Tesla. Eventually, I made the hardest call. I sold the car. Yeah, the same car I fought to keep. I had to sell it. for way less than it was worth. The loan hanging over my head was eating me alive, and the clock was ticking. I couldn't afford legal fees. I couldn't risk losing it to some shady loan company in the middle of the night. So, I paid off the debt. Every disgusting cent of that $7,200 loan my father took out in my name. And with what little was left from the sale, I bought a real beater. Like, the kind of car that makes weird wheezing noises when you accelerate and might collapse if someone sneezes too hard next to it. But it was mine. Fully mine. And the title? That thing's now locked in a safe deposit box where not even Indiana Jones could find it. When my dad found out I sold the Honda, he called me screaming. Like he was the victim. That car was our backup plan. How could you sell it without even talking to me first? I nearly dropped the phone. Our backup plan. I shot back. It was my car. And you took out a loan against it without even telling me. That's literally fraud, Dad. I was going to pay it back before you ever found out. It was just a temporary solution. With what money? I snapped. The money you don't have for my sister's rent? Or the money you don't have for her Tesla? Click. He hung up. But the hits didn't stop there. A week later, I got home from work, just trying to keep my head down and survive the week, when I stepped into my hallway and something felt wrong. My front door? Slightly ajar. I froze. At first, I tried to rationalize it. Maybe I hadn't pulled it shut properly that morning. Maybe it didn't latch. But deep down, I knew. I always double-check the door. My stomach dropped as I pushed it open. Inside it was obvious. Someone had been in my apartment. TV? Gone. Laptop? Gone. The nice watch my grandfather gave me before he passed? Gone. Even my freaking PlayStation. My hands started shaking. I could barely breathe. I grabbed my phone, fingers trembling so hard I almost dropped it twice, and called the cops. They came, took a report, looked around, but there was no sign of forced entry. No broken lock. No pried window. That's when my stomach dropped. I knew exactly who had done it. Dad still had a spare key, from when he helped me move in. I'd meant to ask for it back 100 times and never did. That was on me, but this was all on him. I didn't text. I didn't hesitate. I called him. My hands were shaking from fury more than fear. The second he picked up, I didn't even say hello. Did you take my stuff from my apartment? There was silence. Then the most half-assed denial I've ever heard. What? No, why would I? Don't lie to me. I snapped. You still have the key. There was no break-in. And everything of value is gone. Did you take it? Another pause. Longer this time. Then, like he was admitting he ate the last slice of pizza, not committed a felony. I was desperate, okay? Debt collectors have been calling nonstop. I just needed to borrow a few things to sell. I was going to get them back to you. Once things settled down. You stole from me. I said, low and controlled, but ready to erupt. You stole from your own son. After already using my car as collateral. After taking thousands from me behind my back. You broke into my apartment. Do you even hear how messed up that is? He sighed like I was being unreasonable. It's not like that, Jason. It was temporary. I wasn't going to keep it. You took my laptop. My TV. You sold my PlayStation, didn't you? Silence. Didn't you? Yeah. That one's gone. I needed cash that day. It was either that, or they start garnishing your mother's stuff. My laugh came out bitter, involuntary. So now I'm responsible for mom's stuff too. He tried pivoting, classic manipulation. You wouldn't press charges. Think about your mother. Your sister. The family's reputation. What would people say if you had your own father arrested? And there it was. The same old card. But family. The magic shield that was supposed to make every betrayal okay. The one I'd been conditioned to obey since I was a kid. I've always thought about this family, I said. Every time I bailed you out. Every time I paid her rent. Every time I kept my mouth shut so you wouldn't look bad. But I'm done being the only one who sacrifices. Jason, come on. Either make it right, I interrupted, or face the consequences. He must have heard something in my voice. Maybe it was the fact I didn't shout. I just meant it. Because 2 days later, most of my stuff showed up outside my door. No knock, no note. Just my TV, my laptop scratched now, and a duffel with my grandfather's watch. The PlayStation never came back. I found out later it was already sold. Gone. But he also wired me some money. Not all of it, not even half. But enough to tell me he knew I wasn't bluffing. And that was it. The last straw. The last ember in a fire that had burned out years ago. I went full nuclear. New locks. New phone number. I moved to a completely different part of town. Took a new job. Wiped every single social media account and started over. No more mutual friends. No breadcrumbs to follow. I erased myself from their map. It wasn't impulsive. It wasn't revenge. It came after weeks of not sleeping, of feeling like I was losing my mind. Weeks of second-guessing every memory, every lesson, every conversation I thought meant something. I was raised on blood is thicker than water and all that Hallmark card family loyalty nonsense. My father practically preached it while stealing from me, lying to me, gutting my finances behind my back. The mental gymnastics it took to justify all of that were exhausting. And still, there was this little voice in my brain saying, "But they're your family." While the other part of my brain kept whispering that old guilt line, "But they're your family," the rest of me was screaming back, "They're literally stealing from you." For real though, what kind of father steals his son's identity? What kind of father breaks into his kid's apartment and pawns their stuff? What kind of sister treats you like garbage while living off your money? The questions wouldn't stop spinning in my head. I felt like I was gaslighting myself every time I tried to explain it away. Then came the turning point. It was like 3 a.m. I was lying in bed, staring up at the ceiling, feeling like complete trash. That deep kind of self-hate that creeps in after you've been disrespected for so long. You start to think maybe you deserve it. But then I asked myself one simple thing. Would I let a friend treat me this way? A roommate? A coworker? Would I keep handing over money to someone who talks down to me? Who laughs at me? Who hangs out with my ex? Hell no. Not in a million years. So why the hell was I giving a free pass to people who were supposed to love me more than anyone else? That clarity didn't make cutting them off easier, but it made it necessary. And that's how I found myself at 26 completely starting over. New apartment, new job, new number, no family. All because I finally stopped being everybody's ATM and started doing something I hadn't done in years, putting myself first. 6 months into that quiet, blessed silence, no drama, no guilt-tripping texts, no passive-aggressive calls. Then I got an email from my sister. Just seeing her name in my inbox gave me anxiety. Subject line, "I need you." Great. I opened it, already bracing for some manipulative guilt trip. But it was worse. Way worse. She's pregnant. The baby daddy, some influencer guy she'd been bragging about months ago, ghosted her. Vanished into thin air. She'd been evicted from the apartment. Couldn't afford it without my secret rent payments. Now she was back living with our parents. "Family," she wrote. "Family sticks together no matter what." I swear I rolled my eyes so hard I saw stars. Family sticks together. That's rich. Coming from the same sister who roasted my car, laughed at the idea I'd ever help her, and spent her weekends chilling with my cheating ex in the apartment I was paying for. But sure, differences. That's what she called it. The email went on about how hard things have been, about how she's changed, about how she really needs her big brother right now. She even threw in some fake humility, like, "I've been looking at smaller apartments. Nothing fancy, just somewhere safe for me and the baby." Translation, she wants me to pay for it. Again. But what pissed me off the most wasn't all that. It was the last line. "Dad says he's sorry too. We all miss you." I stared at that email for a solid hour. Not even exaggerating. Just sat there, frozen, my finger hovering over the reply button like it was some kind of nuclear launch code. Part of me, the part that's been conditioned since birth to play fixer, to be the emotional band-aid for the whole damn family, wanted to respond. Wanted to rush in, be the good brother, the hero, the savior. But another part of me, the part that's been sitting in therapy for 3 months, talking about boundaries, self-respect, patterns, saw it for exactly what it was. A crisis. An appeal to family loyalty. The expectation that I would drop everything again because she needed me. I didn't reply. Not right away, anyway. I just sat there, letting the weight of it hit me. Processing my actual feelings instead of reacting out of guilt or some screwed-up sense of duty. Yes, there was concern. Genuine concern. For her. For the baby. Because no kid asks to be born into this kind of chaos. But there was also this deep, bone-tired exhaustion. That hollow kind of tired that doesn't go away with sleep. The kind that builds up after years of playing the role they hand you, while they all pretend not to notice the damage. Because I knew if I replied, if I helped, this cycle would just keep spinning. Golden child gets in trouble. Family looks to me to fix it. Nobody acknowledges the real problems. Rinse and repeat, until I'm broke, bitter, and drained. So I didn't write back. I closed the email, marked it as spam, and moved on with my life. Maybe that sounds harsh. Maybe it was harsh. But I needed peace more than I needed to be the good son, the good brother. The first few months of no contact? Brutal. Holidays felt empty. Birthdays passed without celebration. I'd catch myself mid-scroll, halfway through texting my sister about a trailer she'd like, or about to call my mom for her cinnamon roll recipe. And then I'd remember, they're not in my life anymore. And why? And yet doubt crept in. Always in those quiet, 3 a.m. moments. When the rest of the world's asleep and your brain decides it's time for a guilt highlight reel. Was I being too harsh? Overreacting? Should I be the one to fix it? But then I'd remember everything. The theft, the lies, the betrayal, the years of being used like an ATM no one thanked. And I put my phone back down. I stayed strong. Or at least, I tried. I built new traditions. Found new people who actually respected me. Slowly, that raw wound stopped bleeding and started to scab over. Started to feel something like peace. I got promoted at my new firm. Started dating someone who doesn't treat me like I'm disposable. Took a solo trip to Japan, the one I kept putting off year after year, always next time, because family came first. But for the first time in my life, I came first. Then almost a year to the day since that dinner where everything blew up, I ran into my mother. At the grocery store. Completely random. Right in the produce section. We were both reaching for the same type of apples. We made eye contact. And for a second, I thought about pretending I didn't see her. Just turning, walking away like a stranger. But something made me stay. Maybe curiosity. Maybe some leftover thread of emotion I hadn't completely burned yet. She looked older. Not dramatically, but tired. Worn. Like someone who'd been carrying things too long without ever setting them down. I felt a weird pang, nothing sharp. Just this quiet echo of something. Echoes of what might have been, if we'd ever been a different kind of family. She approached slowly, like she was afraid I might bolt. Maybe I would have, once. "You look well," she said, eyes scanning my clothes, my new haircut, all the signals that I wasn't just surviving without them. I was thriving. I gave a short nod. "I am well." She fidgeted with the strap of her purse. "That old nervous habit of hers. Your father had a health scare last month," she said. His heart. My pulse spiked. Because no matter how much distance I'd put between us, that old programming doesn't just delete itself. It lingers. "Is he okay?" I asked automatically. "He'll recover," she said. But it was serious. Made him think about some things. I waited. Waited for the guilt trip. The bait. The subtle shift into manipulation. Some version of he's not perfect, but he's still your father. But it didn't come. Instead, she said, "Your sister asks about you sometimes." Her voice had softened. Even after everything. I stared at the apples in my hand. Red delicious. Way shinier than usual. I focused on them like they were the most fascinating thing in the world. "She's still living with you?" I asked casually. "Yes." Her tone was flat. Almost emotionless. No sugarcoating, no denial. Just the facts. "She got a job at the mall. Still struggling. With the baby." I nodded slightly. No judgment. No joy. Just distant, mechanical processing. "Your father helps with childcare." That landed somewhere I couldn't even name. Some mixture of irony and dull ache. The same man who broke into my apartment, sold my stuff, stole from me, now playing grandpa. "Good for her," I said. And I meant it, in a vague, detached way. My mom looked like she wanted to say more, maybe explain, maybe ask something. But she didn't. She just stood there, clutching her purse like it was holding her together. "Well, I should go," she finally said. "Take care of yourself." "No, I miss you." "No, I'm sorry." No real acknowledgement of what happened. Just the same emotional distance she'd maintained since I was a kid. "You too," I replied. And I meant that too. Enough. That was all there was left to say. We didn't exchange numbers. Didn't make plans to reconnect. Some bridges, once burned, don't leave room for rebuilding, just ash. That was ours. But as I watched her walk away, I felt something shift. Not forgiveness, not yet. Maybe not ever. But something close to acceptance. Recognition. That she had always been emotionally absent. That my father was a man obsessed with image and control. That my sister? She was just another product of that dysfunction, shaped by the same broken mold. From what little I hear through mutual friends or co-workers with connections, my sister still sounds desperate. Still complains about her horrible apartment. Still talks about how nobody helps her. Still can't figure out why her life is hard while everyone else seems to skate by. Still posts on social media about wanting a Tesla someday. Meanwhile, I just bought my first new car ever. Not a Tesla, but a reliable Toyota. That car. The one that doesn't make weird noises when it rains. That's my peace on wheels. Paid for in full. No loans, no strings, no family drama attached. Just reliability, something I hadn't known for most of my life. But here's the thing people don't get. Going no contact wasn't some dramatic act of rage, some single decision fueled by a fit of anger. It was a slow burn. Thousands of tiny choices made every single day. Choosing not to call when I was lonely. Choosing not to reach out during holidays. Even when I saw those posts of happy families and felt that ache. Choosing not to reply when a mutual friend would casually drop a "your sister says hi." Sometimes, late at night, I'd wonder if I'd gone too far. If maybe I could have just kept a careful distance. Maybe I didn't have to cut the cord completely. Maybe a few polite calls here and there, a text on birthdays, would have been enough. But then I'd remember. The betrayal. The identity theft. The ransacked apartment. Years of being valued only for what I could give, never for who I was. My dad used to call my sister the golden child. Golden. Yeah, sure. But gold is soft, it bends under pressure. Me? That pressure turned me into something else. Something tougher. Carbon to diamond. I wasn't bitter anymore. Just done. And honestly, I didn't give a damn what they thought of me anymore. I was thriving. No more family emergencies draining my account. No more late-night guilt trips. Just quiet, steady peace. But apparently, the universe wasn't quite finished with me. Last week, I got a letter in the mail. A literal paper letter. Not a text. Not an email. Not even a voicemail. Actual ink on actual paper. Who even does that anymore? My dad, apparently. The handwriting on the envelope was shaky, not the confident scrawl I remembered. I turned it over a few times before opening it, my thumb hesitating at the seal. 3 pages. Neatly folded. It changed everything and nothing at the same time. He started with the heart stuff. Said his condition had gotten worse. Doctors were talking bypass surgery. Said he'd been doing a lot of soul searching. His words, not mine. Then came the apology. He wrote that he was sorry. Sorry for using me as the family bank. Sorry for always putting my sister first. Sorry for the loan he secretly took out against my car. Sorry for breaking into my apartment. I was desperate, he wrote. But that's no excuse for what I did to you. He tried to justify it sort of. Said I was the responsible one. The one who always had it together. And because of that, I thought you could handle it, he wrote. Because you were stronger than all of us. And then came the line that hit like a gut punch. I always favored your sister, he admitted. I see that now. I thought I was protecting her, but I was actually making her weaker. And I was hurting you in the process. He didn't ask for money. Didn't beg me to come back or guilt trip me with memories of childhood birthdays. He just said plain and simple that he recognized what he'd done wrong. And more than that he was proud of me. Even if it was against me, he wrote. That part caught me off guard. Proud of me for standing up to him? That wasn't the dad I remembered. On the last page, he'd attached copies of receipts. I flipped through them slowly, confused at first. Then my stomach dropped. They were receipts showing debts in my name paid off. Debts I didn't even know existed. Apparently, there'd been more identity theft than I'd uncovered. Some old credit cards, a couple utilities. He'd cleared it all. Included proof. I sat with that letter for days. Let it sit on the kitchen counter like some unexploded emotional landmine. I wasn't sure how to feel. Relief? Anger? Skepticism? Part of me wanted to believe he'd changed. The other part, the part that knew him too well, wondered if this was just another manipulation tactic, another performance for redemption. In the end, I wrote him a short card. Nothing dramatic. Thanks for clearing up the debts. I wish you well with your surgery. I'm doing great. No phone number. No return address. Just a few words, enough to acknowledge the gesture without reopening the door. I thought that was it. Done. Chapter closed. But then my sister showed up. At my workplace. I was grabbing lunch when my receptionist called me over with wide eyes. There's a woman here, says she's your sister? I came out, and there she was. She didn't look anything like the spoiled, self-obsessed princess I remembered. She looked tired. Dark circles under her eyes. Wearing a slightly wrinkled sweatshirt and Target leggings. And strapped to her chest was a baby carrier with a sleeping infant inside. She didn't cause a scene. Just said softly, "Can I have 5 minutes? Please." I stared at her for a moment, debating. Then nodded. We walked to the coffee shop next door. Sat in the corner. She didn't waste time. "I'm not here to ask for money," she said, eyes darting up to meet mine. I wanted you to meet your nephew. And I wanted to say I'm sorry." I said nothing. Just looked at her. She was nervously bouncing the baby slightly, maybe to soothe him, maybe to calm herself. "I was a brat," she said. "You were helping me, and I was mocking you behind your back. And hanging out with Sarah? God, I see it now. She was awful. So shallow. I don't even know what I was thinking." She gave this small, sad laugh, shaking her head. "Turns out, when you're not around to clean up my messes, I have to actually grow up. Retail's no joke, budgeting sucks, and that tiny apartment feels like a closet. But I'm doing it." I nodded slowly, still saying nothing, just listening. Before we parted ways, she reached into her bag and handed me a sealed envelope. "It's about Dad's surgery," she said. "He'll never ask you himself. But I thought you should know." There was a pause. She looked overwhelmed. But she also looked real. Not the smug, entitled girl who used to mock my old car or laugh about my apartment behind my back. I didn't hug her. Didn't make promises. Didn't offer money or tell her everything was okay. But when I got back to my office, I kept the envelope. I didn't toss it. Later that week, I sent her a quick text. "Your baby's cute. Hope you're doing okay." She replied with a picture of him smiling and wrapped in a tiny dinosaur onesie. I didn't know what to say, so I just reacted with a heart emoji. That was enough. I'm not expecting a miracle. People don't change overnight. Apologies are cheap if they're not backed with effort. But maybe we can build something different this time. With boundaries. With respect. Or maybe not. Either way, I'm happier now. I'm living on my terms. Finally being the main character in my own life. Eventually, my sister sent me a copy of Dad's medical records with his permission. I verified it. He really did need surgery. I sent a card to the hospital. Didn't visit. He's recovering just fine. My sister and I text occasionally now. Mostly baby pictures. We're not close, but we're civil. I haven't given them a single cent. And they haven't asked. Maybe people can change after all. Or maybe they just found another ATM. Either way, not my problem anymore. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.